Bienvenidos and welcome to another High Ground movie review. I'm joined today by the handsome Henry, aka King of the North.
Hey!
In an anticipation for the Halloween Ends release and the conclusion of the Halloween trilogy, we're looking back at Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills 2021. Stick around till the end of the video as we try to predict how the trilogy will end based on the setup of the previous two movies. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, hit the thumbs up, and share with your buds. We'd appreciate it. Make sure you let us know in the comments below what your favorite Halloween movie is, because there's sure a lot of them.
There's a lot.
Now, let's just get into it.
All right. So, Halloween 2018 is directed by David Gordon Green. He also directed Halloween Kills. The plot, as taken from IMDb, Laurie Strode confronts her longtime foe, Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. For those who may not be too well versed in the Halloween universe, there are plenty of timelines when it comes to Michael Myers. And this one is kind of like a soft reboot of the original 1978 movie. So any other of the 6 that were titled Halloween that followed that particular Laurie Strode have been removed, no longer are canon. Only that first Halloween 1978.
They Thanos it.
They just snapped it right out of it.
Snapped it away.
Yeah, well, we're not missing too much, although I do like some of them.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we do see a lot of parallelisms with
the first one.
The first Halloween 1978 and this Halloween 2018.
Which I like at some point because this is exactly 40 years later. It's like an anniversary in a way. And for it being a remake, I like that it's a bit timely.
We do see a very paranoid and kind of prepared, I would say, Laurie Strode with Jamie Lee Curtis, who, as always, does an amazing job when she plays Laurie Strode.
I like that she's a different Laurie.
Yes,
completely different. So it's really cool, and that's how we get that parallelism, and we start seeing her transition from not being prey and instead being the hunter.
Yes, and you can see it many times throughout the movie. There are one of my favorite ones being where her granddaughter Allison, who is the other main character in this movie, she is in her classroom, kind of like Laurie was in 1978, and just so happens to look outside. But instead of like Laurie, where she sees Michael Myers standing outside of the window, Allison sees Laurie standing outside the window.
Right, and it's almost the exact same
scene. Pose, same everything.
Yep,
like
classroom, the eeriness of the weather, and the wind going through her hair. It was done well, though.
It was done well.
It is that switch of roles.
Correct. And I think the direction was pretty good. A lot of scenes kind of stayed true to like the movement of Michael and the shadows. There's one scene in particular, the motion sensor scene, that I think just stole the show, where he's stalking when Laurie and I believe his name was Oscar are walking across one of the neighbors' yards.
Oh,
and then the motion sensor is turning on and off.
Yes.
Michael is just moving with, or not moving, and it's just incredible. Like
moving.
Yeah,
it's really creepy. It's got that eeriness to it, and it uses the lighting really well too. Would you say that's more of a unique scene? Like again, comparing it to the
1978 one? Yeah, no, I think it is. I would say that they had a lot of creative kills in this movie, which if you're a fan of the Halloween franchise, that's kind of what you go and see, is like, how is Michael gonna have some creative kills? But like you said, we kind of erased all of that and we're just comparing it to the 1978 one, and it does a really good job.
His kills here are like got that same feeling as well. There's a bit of suspense, a bit of a wait for it to happen, a build up, like we get a setup with the camera, like for example, the scene where he's on the street with everyone trick-or-treating, and we look at the nurse and the doctor, pan back to him, and then we follow him go into that house.
Yes.
Seeing that woman through the window, and we know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But the waiting and the setup and just the watching, like, it's all really well done.
Yes.
It's super good in this movie.
And there was something that you told me yesterday that put this movie into some form of headspace for me personally. So I think you could go ahead and share that with the audience.
Yeah, just because, like, it's got a lot of the same stuff. It's done really well. It's not a bad movie. But it is, again, you have seen it before. So I describe it as the Force Awakens effect.
Yes.
Because you're using the same characters, some of the same actors, but you have some new plot points in there.
Some new faces.
Yeah, some refreshing faces, you know? But still, it's still the same movie.
And I think that's why I like it so much, because it treaded a lot of the same waters as the 1978 movie. Yeah. It threw in some nice new things. Do I think it's a perfect Halloween movie? They've tried so many times, and there's only one that is a perfect Halloween movie.
Exactly. And so that's why it was well received as well.
Yes.
It did a great job. It was nominated for awards, and, fans loved it. Fans loved it. Critics weren't that bad to it, but it wasn't a good... it wasn't 100% well-received movie, for sure. So we already addressed, like, what we liked about the movie, and it was a lot of good things, but what didn't we like? Like, what didn't you like now that you know where your headspace and, like, your perspective is on the movie?
I didn't really like the subplot with the doctor, where he's the one that kind of broke out Michael and saved him when he got ran over.
Yes.
I think that was kind of unnecessary. It's nice that he got his comeuppance a little bit later, but it was just a plot device to be a plot device. I didn't think it really added much, didn't really take away. It was just there.
Yeah, it was strange because, like, they wanted to make it a big deal. Like, oh, the doctor is the one who brought you here, who brought Michael here to you.
To Laurie, yeah.
He might have not been actually chasing you, or I don't know. That's what it seemed like they were trying to say.
Yeah.
So I agree. It didn't really add much to anything. I honestly, I can't really say much that I didn't like. Maybe because it didn't stand out that much for me to say, oh, I don't really do, you know.
It was consistent across the board, but like you said, it's kind of tough to really give this movie, like, a super high score because you're just retreading what already worked.
You can't give it a high score. No, you can't. But I will say that I appreciated the largely female cast, and that in the end you see these three women, like, feeling almost at peace, even though you're bleeding from your stomach. They were, like, content almost, like, because they thought that they killed Michael.
We see them kind of drive away euphorically.
Yes, and that last cut of Michael in the fire, that was great.
Yeah.
And that's the last time we see him in the first movie.
In the first movie, yeah. So what do you give this first movie before we move on to
I give it, like, a 7.
A 7?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say about 7.5 for me, maybe. I am a sucker for nostalgia. So
yes. Yeah, you're a big fan. Too.
I do. It's probably my favorite slasher movies, like Halloween movies.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a good time watching it. It really felt fresh, but also kind of something familiar. So that was the best part.
It was satisfying.
So definitely a 7.5. If you're a Halloween fan, highly recommend it. If you're in the mood for just one of those, like, slasher films, since we are in the spooky season. So Halloween Kills was released in 2021 after Halloween 2018 took off in the box office, something that no one really anticipated. But there was a want or a desire in the box office for this type of movie, and it did really well. And of course, as Hollywood does when something does really well, even though it had a good ending that you could have ended it there and would have been satisfying.
Yeah.
They said, here's more money, make a sequel, baby.
Do another one.
And we're doing it again.
Which is only predictable. Because, again, how many movies are there of Michael Myers?
So many.
Exactly. So it was only fate, basically, at this point. But the question is, how much of a difference does it make? And how different is it
Yes.
to all of these other Michael Myers movies?
Exactly. So, right off the bat, this movie lets you know that it's not going to be the same type of Michael Myers or Halloween movie that you're used to.
Yes.
The firefighters appear at Laurie's compound, and you see that he actually was able to somehow fit into the tiniest closet, like metal closet, pulls himself out, still alive, fully intact, burnt mask. I think the mask looks great in both of these movies, so there's something
It's much darker.
It's much darker. Yeah,
they got the ashes all over
exactly. Moves forward to killing that person that fell through. Another firefighter that comes to help him out. Okay, I buy that.
Nah, he dies.
Yeah, they kill him, yeah. And then Michael leaves.
Rises from the ashes.
Rises like a phoenix.
Rises from the ashes.
And just mows down an entire fire department. 1 versus like 10.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. But it is a fun opening. I mean, I did not expect like for it to go this route where he's just some, I don't know. What is he?
Yeah, exactly. And it was just so out of left field. Michael Myers is known to be very like sneaky, very in the shadows. Yep. He's a shape, right?
He's a build-up
yeah
horror entity.
And now this is more like I can mow down 10 plus people easily. There's no way.
That's crazy.
So it really changes the expectation or what you know about Michael, and kind of tries to dive a little bit deeper. They do try to give an explanation towards the end of the movie, but this is something completely different from what we have seen.
Yeah.
So take that as you may, because you may or may not like it.
I know. I mean, it kind of got a little bit silly. So I don't think I can ever say that it was better than the first one.
They try to continue the that Force Awakens trope that you were saying, where they're still bringing new characters that we know from the past, like Tommy Doyle was the little kid, Lindsay the little girl, the nurse, and you do get a couple flashbacks to the 1978 movie. Well, not the movie, but a little bit after that.
The time period.
The time period, yes, thank you. With Officer Hawkins. And
I liked. I appreciated it because it is building a character that we knew very little of, I guess. He wasn't a main character. To know someone new and a bit more of his background, and I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
But in the end, I'm not sure if it made an impact.
Yeah, it did look cool. I did like how they dressed up Michael during that piece. He looked as good as he could for the night to compare it to the 1978 one. Those scenes were very good, well made. They had a couple sprinkled in like that, and each one I really thoroughly enjoyed. But yeah, I think just as it continues to get sillier and sillier, they try to explain it, even by like saying that Michael is more like fear, and it's even infested this town so much so that they basically mob mentality kill or cause someone to commit a suicide who was part of the crash in the first movie that escaped with Michael. And so kind of trying to put to that, like, have a deeper meaning of, you know, don't always follow mob mentality, or like how fragile things could be like that. You never know.
Exactly. It does get really fragile. Like the mind and your reasoning gets really fragile when you're so afraid. So I did like that. I mean, this movie had something to say, just a little tiny bit. Like, don't let fear get to you so much like this, because you literally, it's just a domino effect, you know?
Yeah.
It can cause a lot of panic and chaos. And I like the way they portrayed the chaos, because we're also still following our main characters. Karen and Laurie, they're in the hospital.
They're in the hospital.
And that's where everything is going on, the hecticness of it all. That's how this movie felt, though. Hectic.
Did feel
chaotic, almost. Like that you were trying to find some kind of reasoning to it all. And that's what the people are as well. So I did appreciate that. Like, we were feeling what these townspeople were feeling in a way. But this isn't the Michael that we know, like you were saying.
They take an explanation, basically saying that it seems that every time Michael kills, it builds up some sort
His
of fear,
superpowers.
or he's like he just becomes a stronger being, so much so that we don't even consider him human anymore, or at least
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
at
no.
this point.
No, the characters, like, I think Lori legit said that he's not human anymore.
Yeah. So he's more like an entity, which is kind of a weird explanation.
So really, like, Halloween Ends is coming out in just a few days, depending on when you're watching this. And where does it go from here?
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I even compared it to the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
Because you started off with a pretty, like, central story, genuine feelings, you know, like, you had really slow build-up moments, and you got to know all of these people. But in this movie, you just go completely right
balls
field.
to the wall, dude. Like, they just threw it all out there. It was like, let's keep it going.
We're driving a car to space is what we're doing. So
and Michael's
what's next?
fucking the leader, man.
I have a feeling that it'll be more of the same.
We did talk about this a little bit, and I have stated, like, I would be pretty upset if they somehow make Michael different now, because you've set the expectation that he can mow down 20, 30 people.
Right.
If in the next movie he's like only killing one person at a time, yeah, that's great. It's in character, but it's not in this Michael's character anymore.
No, they've shifted the way we see him, and they shifted the way
the town sees him, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And just how people remember him.
I don't want the town to forget. Like, I don't want a character to be like, it's been 3 years already. Like, you should get over it. It's like, no, like, half the population of this tiny town is now gone.
I can't help but think about that that opening, the opening credits visuals with the pumpkins. There's, like, so many pumpkins back to back on fire. That's what happened to this town.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do next? Like, you can't heal this town either. They can only get revenge, and almost everyone in that town has been affected. So I hope that it is some kind of, like, collective solution.
Yeah.
But what is he then? He's like the Thanos of it all, you know? I don't know. It doesn't sit right. But I am looking forward to watching Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
It'll be fun, but I don't think that's what I should be looking forward to for a Michael Myers movie. You know, the fun of it.
Yeah. I wouldn't say they jumped the shark yet. I guess we'll see how the third one goes to really give the full trilogy a holistic view.
Totally.
For me, Halloween Kills, not the worst Halloween movie I've seen. I've sat through some hot garbage before. This was at least entertaining. Very cool kills for some of them. Interesting scenarios, the lighting, the direction. It was still consistent with the first one because it was basically the same people.
Yeah.
The music did change a little bit, but I think it was to kind of match, like, the more, like, oh, we're changing this Michael a little bit.
Right.
But all in all, not my favorite. I think I give it like a 5.
A 5?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I was thinking that low too.
Yeah.
I was thinking 5.5, but I'll do the 5.
Yeah.
Give it a solid number. And I don't think it was well received either with a lot of people. No. I think it was one of the lowest rated Halloween movies. So we'll definitely come back and talk about Halloween Ends. Make sure you catch that next video. Let us know if you're looking forward to it. Are you going to go out and see it? It is your classic Halloween movie to watch during this season.
Yeah, definitely these two movies have gotten me excited. I'm looking forward to the way they're going to conclude this trilogy. And if you're looking to get into more of the Halloween spirit, we are planning on having a movie review releases towards the end of the month. So please stick around for those. And thank you for hanging out with us and talking movies.